Can ideas, a philosophy, or a practice belong to a specific language only? I think not. I want to talk about something that I see come up in a lot of yoga spaces, the idea that perfectly pronouncing Sanskrit or using a lot of Sanskrit is somehow a marker of quality yoga education or yoga instruction from a serious practitioner. Patanjali specifies pronunciation of Om in one instance and for a specific purpose. In Sutra 28 of Chapter 1, the repetition of Om is paired with the contemplation of its meaning. And beyond that, nowhere else in the Yoga Sutras does it say that you need to have learned Sanskrit or perfectly pronounce it in order to be able to do the practice. We can think about how these ideas might have traveled. Maybe some of the ideas traveled through Tamil, through Kannada, through oral traditions. Some of the ideas likely developed in parallel with the sutras, some likely even emerged before the sutras. For example, the Naladiyar is a Jain Tamil text that arrives at similar conclusions as the sutras about non attachment and karma. There's also the Tirukural, which is an explicitly non sectarian text that talks about right conduct, restraint, non harm, and this is similar to yogic ethics. The concepts are clearly robust enough to have emerged on their own across traditions. I use Sanskrit terms because they're precise for what I'm describing in classes and in these videos, and because they're the language of the text that I'm learning. I don't say them to signal belonging. Trying to pronounce a word right is part of taking it seriously and part of respecting the culture that it comes from. But mispronouncing a word while genuinely practicing what it's pointing at is way more valuable than perfect pronunciation or perfect recital of all of the classical yogic texts without any real life implication. I'm also a Telugu speaker. I speak Tamil, Hindi, French, Spanish, maybe a little bit of English. I grew up around a philosophical tradition that was able to arrive at similar conclusions as the sutras. So the ideas converge, but they're not necessarily a derivative from Sanskrit. I'm not saying this as a footnote. In fact, this is the reason that I'm able to confidently say that ideas are not the property of a language. The practice is the practice. Language is a means of communication, so let's not confuse the two.